Hello, everybody, and welcome to my live broadcast today on YouTube. My name is Marcy Melzer, and I am an intuitive language facilitation consultant and speech and language pathologist. And I help parents teach their late talking children how to use the words they need to share their wisdom with the world. And I do that in my Waves of Communication parent coaching program. I've decided to go ahead and come live on YouTube today because I have so many wonderful new followers here. And thank you so much for joining me, everybody. If you have a question for me, go ahead and post it in the comments now, and I will get to the questions as I roll through the video today. We'll stick around until I get to all those questions. So we'll do that. And to get started, I have a couple questions that I have collected from some parents in my Waves of Communication community, some of the parents that work with me regularly in my program. And I also wanted to sort of piggyback onto a theme that I talked about last week, which is using alternative forms of communication with children who are late talking. It's very, very common for speech therapists and teachers and ABA specialists to recommend that children use an alternative communication system to get them started in the process of learning speech. And what I wanted to talk about today, I have done some videos about why using nonverbal communication systems can slow the progress of a child starting to use spoken language. And I've done other videos about that. But I had a mom in my community today who's been working with me for a while, and her little guy is very prompt dependent. He has been in ABA therapy for many years, a number of years, probably 2 or 3 years now, and has been full-time, 40 hours a week, doing a lot of responding to directions and commands. And he is very prompt dependent, so he has very limited verbal speech. He's at the level where he's doing some inconsistent sort of pop out words and phrases to say some of his favorite things or things that he hears. However, it's not consistent. He still is consistently stuck in dragging his parents around, and it's not even any kind of a structured system. Even pointing is not something that he does super great at. He is more relying on people to guess what he wants and then prompt him to say the word is kind of where he's been, or prompt him at this stage to use a sign like more or help, or hand a picture to get the things that he wants or label those things. And they've been working with me for quite a while, and the verbal speech isn't coming as quickly for her little guy as it is for some of the other parents. And I have attributed this to the fact that he is so prompt dependent, that even though mom has stopped the prompting, and she's doing wonderful language facilitation, even because there are other people still prompting him at school and ABA, he's still really stuck in those patterns. And so the long story about this, and the question about it is about, at school, they are now introducing the device. They're at that level where he's struggling to participate in the activities at school without some kind of communication system, and verbal speech is just not coming. So they have introduced this computer system, and I've talked to his mom about refusing it, and she has made a decision, and this makes sense to me. She's made a decision to actually start using it because it has been years of therapy and intervention, and her boy is still not talking yet. And she's really needing another system because even her language facilitation at home, he's not responding very consistently with spoken words. So She stopped prompting him to say words, which has decreased his anxiety, and he's listening more and focusing more, but he's still not expressively, indicating his needs. So we talked about what kind of strategy do you use if your child is needing a system at school or therapy to get through their day and get through their learning. And so other people are training them to use these things, and they send them home with parents to try to use. What do you do if you know your child still needs access to the nonverbal communication system and you still want them to get verbal speech? Like, how do you go? How do you help them shift? How do we make the whole system work for you? And the solution to this, and we talked about it on our meeting today, is how to help your child use the alternative system, if it's pictures or the tablet system, and particularly the tablet system, because it's about the most detailed way nonverbal kids can communicate, because they never learn enough sign language as they can on the computer systems. So the older kids, especially, who are 5, 6, 7 years old, and they've been using these computer systems for years, and you're interested in shifting them over to natural speech, they already have a level of dependence, them and the people who are educating them, on the device. And you can't just drop it cold turkey. What you need to do is help your child shift from using it as their primary method to communicate as a secondary, as a backup plan for the verbal speech that you're trying to facilitate. So your language facilitation has to decrease prompting as much as possible in all of their environments, and have everyone in their environments focus the intervention on verbal speech. If your child is already proficient, meaning they know how to get what they need basically with the device, then start using the device less. Use it as a necessity. Don't dig in and add more vocabulary when it becomes too limited for your child. Use that level as the time to break that nonverbal system and show your child that verbal speech is better, because they'll always use what's easier. And if you keep accommodating the system to help them learn more things, then you will find that they will quickly rely on that. And then when it breaks down, ask you to fix that system. But when that computer system breaks down, and you shift your child over to listening to more functional, slowly spoken language about the things that they love, they will learn to listen better to humans talking instead of the device, and they will find quickly that the nouns of the things that they're requesting, food labels, actions, things like that, instead of learning to say the words for those things, they already have a system for that. They're going to learn to use verbal speech to talk about the things that the computer doesn't. So their feelings, their emotions, their unique ideas, and the actions of things that they see going on, movies that you watch, things like that. When those things happen and they hear the language for those things that they're interested in, they will start to focus and listen more to humans talking. And then the device, with the limited things to request, that becomes their less preferred way to learn language, because they're more interested in this complex language once they get a foundation. And so that's kind of how the shift works. If you're finding me and finding this video now, no matter when you watch it, if your child is already hooked on using that system, but their spoken language could develop, maybe they say words sometimes, they use echolalia, they sing rhymes, but the only thing they use to request is these nonverbal systems, that's because they were set up as ways to functionally help your child request. So on an IEP, or an individual education plan, or even an ABA goal, the communication goal for your child is something like, child will use a verbal or nonverbal communication to request their needs. And it's the request their needs part, the reason for using language, which is what these systems are designed to do. But they're too limited for communicating your interests and ideas and all of those kinds of things. So that's where you really facilitate verbal speech during functional activities. And the other thing that, with language facilitation that helps that system break down is usually kids learn that vocabulary very, very fast, because it's about the things that they need and they request every day. They program the device with the vocabulary at first that the child will or could be exposed to, the everyday things. They already know those words from hearing you say them. So in the everyday times of your life, don't get the tablet out and use it. Continue to facilitate language for the things that your child already knows, and facilitate using the tablet in times that they don't say it. So again, with language facilitation, the goal is for you as a parent to facilitate teaching your child all the words they need to share their wisdom with the world. And you do that during your everyday activities, setting up things, systems, situations like they do in therapy to request. They put 5 things and they use the tablet to say, which one is apple, which one is banana, things like that. And they teach kids to use it. None of that facilitates using your mouth to communicate. It facilitates using your eyes, your vision center, and your body pointing to communicate. And that's the difference between language facilitation and using these alternative systems. Do they help families know what their kids need and give up behaviors? Yes, they do. But they break down when the child's in the language that's in their head, the things that they've learned from listening to everybody else, sort of overcomes what's on the device. When it breaks, that's when you become the language facilitator and the one to teach your child the words. And then the tablet system goes away. It's secondary anymore. That's kind of how I use the analogy. Those devices can be used effectively if they're used like a crutch, like you would use crutches if you broke your leg. You only use them until your leg gets better, and then you get rid of them because you want to be able to use your body functionally without any assistance. And that's what we're facilitating with spoken language. I see there's a few people watching, but I haven't seen any questions. So I'll just give you a couple more minutes to post your question in the comment. And while I'm waiting, I just want to remind you that you can access these live Q&A sessions every week, typically over on Facebook. And if this one gets a lot of response, maybe I'll start to do live Q&As over here on YouTube too. So if you're watching the replay and you are interested in doing and having me do some more live Q&A here on YouTube, then please go ahead and write in the comments that you are interested. For all of you who are watching right now, please go ahead and say hello, give me a comment, like this video so that it helps me get the word out to other families. Share it with your friends if you have somebody who is interested in helping their child shift from using an alternative communication system to verbal speech. And join me next week when I'm live on Facebook at 2 p.m. Eastern every week on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And next week, actually on Thursday, I'm going to be in New York. I'm traveling to do some connections. I'm making some connections with other people who work with language delayed kids and find out some new ways to bring the waves of communication and language facilitation information to families all over the world. So I'm getting ready to get all of those things together for you as resources. So you'll see some videos of me while I'm in New York doing some different kind of language facilitation activities. And you'll also, if you're around next Thursday, you'll be able to see an interview with my friend Devangi Dalal, who is from India, and she is a audiologist and speech and language therapist, teaching parents of kids who are hearing impaired how to use natural verbal speech. And she and I are joining together to do some workshops in India. And then in the United States, I'm going to be doing talks next year in 2020 all across the country. So if you are interested in having me talk with your mom's group or in your area, I'd be happy to hear from you. You can reach out to me over on my website at wavesofcommunication.com. And if you're interested in working with me as a client, you can head over there to learn about it too. At wavesofcommunication.com, I have a free class for parents that teaches you all about what language facilitation is and outlines all the criteria for success, because parents are the best language facilitators and you can teach your child to talk faster than speech therapy. Parents all over the world are doing it, and you can too. All right, everybody. I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm going to bug off here for now. Thank you so much for joining me and watching the replay. Again, give this video a like. Help me get the word out. I'm really close. Hey, there's Laura. Hi, Laura. I'm really close to getting to 1,000 subscribers. I only have about 35 more, and I'll hit 1,000. And that always helps me get the word out. It's very, very exciting. More and more people are following my YouTube channel every day. So welcome to all of you. I'm super glad you're here. And Laura says she loves my new book. Thank you so much. I will talk about that real quick to let you know that my book is available on Amazon. It's called If It Isn't Fun, It Isn't Fun. Teach Your Child to Talk Faster Than Speech Therapy. And it's available on Amazon until the end of the month for only $9.99 on the Kindle. And you can read it for free, even if you do the look inside, or you can view it with the look inside, and you can catch it for free if you join Kindle Unlimited. It's free for 30 days. So, all right. Oh, here's a question from Sunita. Says, hi, Mercy. Thank you for your guidance. You're so welcome. My son is 7-year-old, started talking 3-word sentences. I have detoxed all digital media at home. After that, he started showing interest in our communication. All right. So Sunita, that's a really great comment. Thank you so much for sharing. And the thing is, kids addiction to and dependence on, or spending a lot of time with technology, is definitely something that causes kids to remain late talking. Even children who have used words and lost them, those kids often are really focused on learning from two-dimensional things. And they may have tons of language inside, but they don't have the opportunity to bring it out and share it with other people if they're too busy getting stuck on their tablet. So it's obviously a good idea to limit technology exposure for kids. It's a little hard to take it off cold turkey, though, because the world does need kids who have kids in the world do need to have access to technology. It's how we learn everything. The old days, we used to go to the library and read things in books and encyclopedias. And now any child who's learning either at home, homeschooling, or in a school will have access to technology. So my advice for you, Sunita, is there are a couple videos here on my YouTube channel. You can just search in the search section to learn about videos that I have that are using video for language facilitation, because there are ways to actually use video on technologies to get your child to talk more. So check out that video to learn more about it. So, and her question though is, he still talks to himself. It looks like one film is playing in his mind nonstop. I'm unable to stop him from free flowing, though. Please help me to solve this issue. Thank you so much. You gave me the confidence. Great. Okay. And there's Deborah saying hello, and Laura too. All right. So first I'm going to talk about Sunita, who has a boy who's saying 3-word phrases. She says, I love all these details in the questions. Thank you so much. So the issue here is the child is using something else to communicate those 3-word phrases for probably needs-based language, the things that they want and to get you to do stuff and stop doing stuff. So the self-talk, which is what, like you say, is exactly what's going on. There's a movie playing in their head because mostly talkers are visual learners and they remember things as images and movies that are playing in their head. So the language that they use is the soundtrack, for that language, for that movie. And it's going to be, if it is actually a movie that they saw, you might even hear the characters come out, the voices the same as they do with all kinds of, on the movie. And the thing about this self-talk or this independent talk, especially when he gets on a roll, this is really functional practice for his mouth to be saying words. Even though those words are not directed at anybody else, it's really, really good for the neurophysiology of language learning. Just saying sentences that sound like longer sentences when they're rhymes or words or quotes or things that kids say repeatedly, those things actually do help their brain learn to, I'm thinking this, I'm saying this. I'm thinking this, I'm saying this. And they are saying the things that they're seeing in their mind's eye, right? So you don't want to stop that kind of talking unless it is interfering with like other people in the world. So if you're at a store or a library or, someplace like that, and the talking is very loud and annoying to other people, your child probably doesn't realize this because remember, it's self-talk. They're not saying those words for anyone else's benefit but their own. It's their way to experience their memories out loud in their own head. And it often happens when children are removed from technology because your child has an amazing memory for all those videos that he watched while he was stuck on the tablet. And now you took it away and he is stuck in his head thinking about those things. So you don't stop it. But what you do try to do, especially with your child if he's already 7, is see if you can contribute to that memory somehow. So if your child is talking about, you hear the words they're saying, and it sounds like a movie that they're seeing in their head, then you want to comment about that movie in some way that might get their attention, not about what they're saying, because remember, what they're saying wasn't intended necessarily for anybody else to understand. It was a self-talk thing. You just noticed it, right? So it's the same thing if kids are humming or making noises or gobbledygook talking and you don't understand what it is. Remember, it's not for you. It's talking that's happening for them. What you need to concentrate on is when your child is initiating communication with you. They may choose to do it, in your boy's case, with a 3-word phrase, I want drink, or drink please, or my cookie now, or go away mom, or something like that he's using to say those things. And you always, as a language facilitator, will expand those opportunities. The opportunities that he's self-talking, let him do it as he's doing it. It's his own entertainment. If it's super annoying to you or other people, then you call him on it as a behavior. I hear you talking. It's too loud for me right now. And if your child needs to have another way to experience some alone time in their head, then you need to give them an activity that they can do on their own. For example, watch that video, because if he's just so excited about seeing that video and maybe he's addicted to it and he wants to watch it a million times, you can help him feel some level of satisfaction to meet that need by letting him watch the video one time and telling him that at the end of this one video, we are doing something that you structure that he thinks is fun. right? So you give him a chance to have access to the technology that he's escaping the world to try to find in his mind. Let him have a little of it, and then structure him out of that technology into some functional activity that you do with him, like, cooking or laundry or something in your house that you need his help with. So just like other 7-year-old boys, you can have your entertainment for a little while, and then I need you to come and help me do something, because kids will stop doing what they're doing to help their parents if the thing that you ask them to do is fun and helpful and useful. And kids like to help their moms. So that's a good way to try to do it. Don't stop the free-flowing talk unless it's annoying. And if it's annoying, you have to tell your child that talk is not cool here. And you tell your child how to talk in that place. So for example, if you're in a store, then you say, "This is our store talk. Here we have to use store talk." And even if his talking is about the video he watched, 2 years ago, that in that moment, you're calling him back to reality, because he is here in the world with other people and annoying them with this talking. And you have to say, "Here, this place, we use our lobby talk, our library talk, our store talk." And little kids use inside voice, outside voice kinds of things. But I don't like that one as well, because sometimes inside you can be loud. Like let's say you're at church and you're yelling and stuff. You can be loud inside sometimes. But if it is a sit down and library voice, we need to use our sit down and library voice. And you need to keep your voice modulated at the level and speed that you want your child to emulate. If they get talking and blah, 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 and you go blah, 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 the energy just keeps going up and up and up. If you want to change your child's talking at all, you have to be the model for the talking you want your child to do. And so that's how you're going to shift from scripted phrases to functional phrases, and it's how you're going to shift from echolalic talk to functional interactive talk about what you're doing. So hopefully those strategies will help you get going. All right. And Laura has a comment here, and she says, "I'm using your techniques and it's working with my 3-year-old daughter." Hooray, Laura. I'm so happy. I have taken away her pecs since Saturday morning, and she is saying more words every day. I am so excited. Thank you, Laura, for sharing. I appreciate that so much, and appreciate you sharing your story, because I know a lot of parents see what I have out here on YouTube and they're not sure, like, how can this be so different from speech therapy and be so effective? If you've been frustrated with your speech therapy experience, then it's time to think about something different, and language facilitation can be different for you. I have found over 30 years of therapy that when I quit trying to be the therapist and teach the kids to talk myself as I showed up at their house or for the session, and give the responsibility to parents with targeted guidance, like I've done right here on this video, parents are able to get their kids to talk, just like Laura did. So 7-year-olds are stuck in habits that are a little bit more ingrained than a 3-year-old is. So sometimes little kids, the habits change easier, but I've seen some pretty stubborn 3-year-olds too. The key to all of it is fun, everybody. If it isn't fun, it isn't fun. And if it isn't fun for your child, they're not going to do it. So if your child is not happy when they go to therapy, if they are crying, if they don't want to get out of the car, if they don't make eye contact with the therapist, then it's time for you to think about taking on the responsibility yourself to become a language facilitator. Don't look for another new therapist. Take on the responsibility yourself and get it done, because that's how parents get their kids talking. It's working all over the world. Families teaching their kids multiple languages at the same time, even when even just weeks ago they said nothing, are now starting to say words. You can find this too with your kids, no matter what is going on to cause their late talking. You just have to find what is blocking the process and then get back into it and help your child get back into it too. It literally is that easy. Okay, everybody, thank you again for joining me, and all your comments, your likes, your shares. Subscribe to my channel so that I can get up to 1,000 people, please. And I will see you all on my next video. Have a great day, everybody.